That right now, and I'll share my screen with you guys and we'll get going. Okay, so got that.
So the first glitch there was that I didn't have, I guess, the most current version of Team already loaded. So I had the option to stay on the same browser, and that's when it let me in.
Yeah, you can use Teams either from the browser or from the app. So it's kind of universal, so you don't really need the app itself to actually log in. You can just do it from the browser version.
Speaking of apps, I was trying to upload the most current version, the Zoom app, so that we can do backgrounds. And it said that it required a version 10.414 of Mac. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right, because there's some features in that Zoom version that's due to security, since Zoom had a major security issue right at the beginning of COVID. They tightened up a lot of security and requires an updated version of that operating system.
But all the most current version available to me when you check for updates is 10.13. How about you, Kai?
Kai's on a PC from the office. He's on a Microsoft platform. I can take a look at it. We can definitely look at upgrading yours to the current version, which is basically the Big Sur version. But those we have to be careful when we do those, because we've had some problems with not necessarily us causing the problem, but the update having issues with Office and some other products that cause issues. So we're very sensitive to making changes, but only within having the machine in front of us so that we can control it. We had some people that did it on their own and screwed up their machines.
Well, so be in the clinic on Thursday if you're there. I'll bring it.
Okay, fair enough. So you guys can see my screen. So kind of the first thing we wanted to look at is reviewing kind of you mentioned the ecosystem of where Youngblood is at this point. So basically the first thing is the data storage of Youngblood. Everything is in SharePoint. So here is the SharePoint site that we developed for Youngblood. We moved basically all the data that was locally on the server has been moved into SharePoint into various departments, and those are being used. The other piece that is available for Youngblood people for data storage is if they store stuff on their local computer, we synced their individual OneDrive, which is the product that you get, part of your email account is OneDrive. So OneDrive is equal to Dropbox per se, but it's included in your Microsoft subscription. So basically that allows you to have cloud storage data, and you also we're able to set up backups on the Windows machines. We can back up their desktop, back up their documents, and back up their pictures. So all the machines that have that are Windows machines in the office, we've set that up so that if something happens to their desktop, they don't lose data that they happen to have on their desktop that they did not put into one of their departmental SharePoint sites. And these are all the different departments that we set up with data located. Warehouse has their own data location. And in there's all the data that the warehouse staff uses. So the one thing, we did this mid-year last year to really get everybody, get the data out of the office into a secure environment that makes it accessible anytime, anywhere, on any device.
So if I have information in my OneDrive or desktop, I need to move it into SharePoint one at a time?
If you feel that data is relevant and important to the organization wide, if it's just something that you use on your own, then you should keep it in OneDrive because only you have access to it based on your username and password. But if you feel that you need to share it with the team, if you need to share it with Kai or anybody else in the organization, then yes, you should put it into one of these folders. And you and Pauline have access to all of them. And then everybody else has access depending on their respective role in the organization.
So where in there it would be vendor agreements?
I don't don't recall where we put in the structure. We'll start with accounting. And see, here's some lease agreements, vendor payables, vendor admin. Here's just an area. We don't know who's doing what and where, but we did create these locations for these. There may be also some in operations that we can look at.
Why don't you
Vendors.
just have a separate tab across? Well,
then that's
not really accounting.
Well, exactly. Now, again, this is what makes this excellent, because this request that you're making, we can make happen. We can create a separate SharePoint site for vendors, or separate page like this that'll be just specifically for vendors, and then move the data in there. If that's what you want, we definitely can make that happen. This is what we started with, where we built out just based on what we knew, kind of the basic structure of the organization. Now we're kind of evolving into how to use this in a much more relevant fashion to be able to accommodate those type of requests. So yes, we can definitely add vendors, create a different section for that, and then we'll store the data there specifically for vendors.
Okay.
I'll make that happen.
Is Kai not able to communicate with me?
I don't know. He should be
there.
No, he's online. Kai, you there?
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I think we're having that same problem again. So it's definitely a hardware issue we need to look at. Kai's having issues with some hardware. We discussed this yesterday, and we wanted to test it today because he was having that problem in Zoom where his mic all of a sudden got really low. Kai, you want to talk?
Yeah, can you still not hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jason. You have a question for Kai?
Yeah, Kai, did you follow my request before about having a separate tab for vendor agreements?
Yes, but we have no vendor agreements currently.
Well, I mean, we do.
Oh, wait, vendor. Are you meaning distributors or vendors?
Well, you couldn't just make it generic. Why don't we make it just agreements, and then we can have some as vendor, then some as distributor, and some as, whatever.
Yeah, we have nowhere currently that I know of. I'm guessing Tara or somebody might know where we might have digital copies. I only know of the physical copies that are here in my office of vendor agreements that are signed or not signed.
Yeah, well, that's why this going forward, we needed to do it the right way. We need to. I mean, if we choose to keep a hard copy, that's fine, but we need to have all hard copies scanned and categorized in such a way so that we all have access to them. So that's a priority number one.
Okay.
And this really is kind of like a Marissa thing too. I mean, she's smart enough to organize all that, or somebody.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll basically then create a page like all these pages here. We'll call it vendor. And then that can be used to store your agreements, your vendor agreements, your distributor agreements in that one area, and then that'll just be the storage area. And
why don't you just call it agreements, Randy? Because distributor agreement is not really a vendor agreement.
Okay, then we'll call it agreements, and then create that section. And once it's created, I'm going to make that request today. I'll get our developer to jump on it and get this page set up. And then if you and Kai could give me just the names of the people who need access to it. Obviously, you and Pauline will have access to it, but other than yourself, I assume Kai is going to have access to it. Who else do you want access to that particular page? Marissa?
Yeah, Marissa, Shannon, Tara. I can't think of anyone not to have access to it, really. Okay,
yeah, I just don't know how sensitive the information is in that. So if you just want basically those people to have access to it, that's fine. We've got Marissa, Shannon, Kai,
Tara,
and Tara.
Pauline,
and you have access to everything.
All right,
so that's a default. And then Holly, does she need access to it?
Not really.
Okay, so that's fine. So we'll go with that group of people. And Christina, she's coming back. She doesn't need access to that, does she?
No.
Okay, that's fine. So that gives me the list. I have this in the recording, so I can refer back to this when we set up the permissions on the new agreements tab. But overall, this is kind of where we are right now with the data storage. We backed this up. This is backed up as part of your Office 365 backup. since it's a SharePoint site and it's all included, when we back up your individual mailboxes, we also back up the SharePoint site. So each person's mailbox is being backed up specifically as a backup, and then we store that as an archive once the person leaves the organization, or if we delete their actual online email account, the archive stays in place. So this is all part of it. That's what makes it kind of easy to manage, because it's all in one place. It's SharePoint, it's your email, it's your OneDrive. All those things get backed up into a single data storage location, aside from this information here. The other part of it is, knock on wood, hopefully things turn around here, and you know, the economy gets, you know, hopefully ramping up a little bit faster here. As you bring on new employees or bring on new staff, the critical part of this is really to have a landing page for each person where they work, where everything that they use is basically on the landing page. So we try to put in all these different links to the different sites that people use. Like this is for accounting. These are links that I was told by Sherry, and to an extent, I think, I don't know who was here before that, but we needed to, you know, have these links so we can add these dynamically across the board to make, you know, the learning curve for a new person coming in much easier to be able to work with whatever they need to work with. So here they have access to the folders and files, and on this page they would have access to links and things they need to do. We also can very easily.
So what is a link? The link goes to where?
To wherever site you tell me it wants to go. So for example, if I click on the Shopify link here.
Yeah.
Let me like this goes to the Zendesk. If we go to operations, they've got pages like Amazon Seller Central. So it goes to the pages where people need to go to, so they don't have to think about it. It's all in one place, and they can easily navigate that structure just by being on this page. This page is pretty bare right now. We can actually create much more elaborate things, and we've done actually things where we've actually put in videos. We can embed actual videos in here, training videos. We can embed a lot of stuff onto the actual landing pages themselves. We can use calendars. So Kai, as a, you know, as a manager running, you know, a department, if you wanted to create a department calendar, we could do that as well on these pages. So each department has their own calendar specific to whatever they need to do. So if operations need a special calendar here for, you know, different items, warehouse may need a calendar for different information. I'll show you what ours looks like so you kind of have an idea. Our marketing team, we basically have, this is our, you know, our marketing page. And here's the links that we use for our marketing stuff, for our social media channels. Here are websites that we're building out, landing pages that we've designed. Here's our calendar for our marketing meetings, you know, sales meetings, daily agendas. So this basically gives our team one single place to access everything. The cool thing about this is that this not only looks like this on the computer, but it can also look like that on your phone. So you now have the ability to, and on an iPad, and on a Mac or on a Windows machine, anywhere you can access the internet, you can have the same experience consistently across the board. So that's what we want to basically, that was a goal behind starting this process, to getting you guys set up so that at a certain point in time, you know, if you guys are outsourcing certain services, that you could still have, those people could have access to the data, to the common Youngblood feel, look, culture type of situation. That's what these are really designed for, is to allow you to have flexibility, mobility, and security, most of all, within this structure. It looks pretty, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that we are actually doing. The other piece that I wanted to bring up, as far as kind of looking at what we can do, I actually started this conversation with Tara and Shannon yesterday, was looking at being able to create electronic forms that can be used as opposed to paper. And I want to show you kind of an example of what we did for a trucking company that we support. And I'll bring their site up here really quick. None of this is, there's no confidential information in here that will show. But for example, we created for this trucking company, when they get a new customer coming in, they basically want to get credit information. So we created from a paper form that they had an online credit application form. So if you guys have something like this where you're looking at a vendor or distributor, you need them to fill out a form, we can create electronic forms that can be sent to them. Now, this is easy. This is the easy part, just taking a paper form and creating different structures. The cool thing is what happens when you hit the submit button. The submit button actually will give us the ability to kick in what's called workflows. And those workflows can be very detailed in having things happen in the background without having to manually do them, whether it's notifying your credit department that these people have submitted their request, triggering then a request from the trade references, and this email then is sent with this form, which is a reference check basically form. So this is emailed out to the people that the person put on their credit application. So again, this is the kind of stuff that can be done with Cognito forms, with integrating to SharePoints, where the responses can be notified to accounting. For example, if somebody submits a credit application for, distributor or vendor, it could go to your accounting department so they can vet that information. They get notified. A copy of the completed form can be PDF'd and put into the SharePoint site. It can create the folder automatically for the client, for the new prospective client. So these are like a lot of things that can be done. Our developers work consistently on building out forms, and they can be very elaborate. We built out one. I'll show you one for a nonprofit that we support, and it's very extensive. It's an intake form. These guys do. They support. They basically help kids that are, in the adoption system to get through the system and without, causing too much damage to their psyche. So we created this special education program questionnaire, this general education questionnaire, and it's very elaborate with the extent that it's a lot of questions. It's in Spanish and English, and you can fill it in. And then in certain places, if you fill in yes, it'll click in an additional drop-down feature with additional questions. So these forms are dynamic in their creation and in what you can do with them. So it's not just yes, no. You can actually, if you say yes, it kicks in one additional workflow where it says, okay, now we need additional answers to your questions. If say no, you just move on to the next thing. So it's very dynamic in the way it works. So it's something that, if you had a lot of paper forms, we can actually change them into an electronic form, and it just makes it easier to access, easier to edit. There's control over it, and it just makes it much more efficient to be able to move data from just by hitting a submit button and have all these additional workflows kick in. Obviously, the front end, you have to do a little bit of homework and create the workflows, but once they're in place, they're easy to change if we need to update them, and they work very well in being able to streamline a lot of the different processes that you may have as an organization. So I talked to Shannon about this briefly and Tara, just to kind of get an idea if there's forms that we can actually take. And Kai, I don't know if you have any specific forms, or Jason, that we could actually convert, into these type of systems.
No. This is certainly on my mind for a first quarter project, is to get all of this under control. And I'm just kind of seeing it for the first time at a high level, but I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and again, we're gonna, I'm gonna share this recording with you. Jason, you can go to the page right now, and you have access to every single tab up here that I do. I'm logged in as an administrator, so I have access to all of them. But you and Pauline have access to all of these. Again, this is a very basic. Right now, what you have is very basic. This is level 1, so we can actually get very creative in helping you streamline this stuff. And again, a lot of the stuff you already paid for. Our development cost is baked into your monthly service agreement, so none of these changes that we're asking is going to cost you any additional money. These changes here, anything on this page, this is all part of your Office 365 licensing, so you're already paying for that. So this is pretty much as far as a costing. Now it's just creativity. Is what can you come up with? What do you want to throw at us? And let us, help you create this stuff.
As an example, Kai, have you uploaded anything to the SharePoint directory?
A couple files, I believe, earlier, but I haven't as of recently.
I mean, but look at how many files you've come across, whether it's the, well, I mean, like this TPS agreement would be uploaded, and any, the MMCL agreement should be there, the Beach House, the, you know, Hawk Media, all of these things. You should be adding them as we execute them.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm looking at also right now is I've got to talk to Tara because she's kind of taking the point on it, is looking at your copier units and see where you are in your lease cycle, because we have a lot of the copier division, copier partner that we work with, where we can actually include the copier unit when you're scanning in, that'll actually directly move stuff into SharePoint without even having to go to like people's emails. So I need to talk to Tara and see where you guys are with that. Where you are with your lease agreement. I'm not sure what cycle you guys are in at that point, but again, if you're looking at an initiative of trying to reduce paperwork and putting more things electronically, the copier scanning capabilities, which we can work around now with what you have, it's basically just copying to email and then taking the email document. But we can actually, the ones that we have access to can actually integrate directly into SharePoint, and you can scan a document right into a SharePoint library. Any of these, for example, that we have available. So that's another feature.
Well, give me an example. Like if I get an email and it has an agreement that's attached and it's been executed, how do you go from that email and throw it into one of these folders on SharePoint?
Yeah, let me just find a file here on my computer that has an attachment. Yeah, I think this one has one. Yeah, so for example, I mean, these are just like logos, but we'll just take this file, this JPEG file, for example. If I right click on it and I can say copy that, then I just basically go to my SharePoint. Now again, SharePoint can be accessed via what's called the Windows Explorer, or it can be accessed from the website. So I'll do it both. I'll do it from here, and I'll show you it's going to show up in the other place. So if I take it here, and if I just dump it into, oops, let me just dump it in here where it says YouTube. Paste. So now I drop that image in there. It's a brand new image. And now if I go back to our SharePoint site online, the actual online version, where's my page? Here. So if I go now to the online version of our documents page, and if I go down to our YouTube, there it is, YouTube, there's that file that I just dropped in. You see how fast that was? I did it from my computer here, but it reflects itself back here, and I could do it vice versa. I could do it from here, and it'll show up again in my File Explorer.
My Outlook page doesn't look like that.
Your Outlook page?
Yeah, I'm saying, like, supposing you're starting from your email, right? There it is. Okay.
Yeah. So same thing. I mean, well, if you wanted to upload it from the actual website, I'll show you the same thing. So it's very easy. Let me just get back to our page. So again, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to upload a file. I'm just going to go to let's go to my desktop. This file right here. I say open, and it's going to upload that file right there. So you can do it right from the web page. You can actually drag and drop too. That's the other feature that's really cool about this. Since it's running, it's integrated. You can actually take a file, and you can just drag it right in. Right there. So it's basically designed. You can upload folders, files, drag and drop. You can do it. There's multiple ways of doing it. To getting the data in there. So Kai, if you had an email, you scanned in a document and you emailed it to yourself, you could take it right from the email and just drag it right into a SharePoint folder that you have access to. Okay. So that's the part of this that really makes it exciting for businesses that want to move to the cloud in a cost-effective way, because it's a lot of businesses already have these systems already there. We tell people we're like chefs. We basically take all the ingredients that you already have in your kitchen cabinet, and we make a beautiful cake, which is this. That's the way we kind of, when we're marketing this to businesses, we analyze it that way, saying this is the way. You guys don't know how to put all this together. We can, and we put all this together with everything you guys have. You didn't pay any extra for this. You didn't pay like any additional cost for software or anything, because all this is included, and we just have the skills to be able to put it all together for you. Here's a Twitter feed for Youngblood. We put it on the page too. So we can embed a lot of things in here. We can really put in information, training videos. If you want to create a site where you want to train people how to do things, eventually you want to start doing videos how to, training that you've already done on your YouTube channel. You maybe want to centralize the location for your team or your staff, or when we do like a training for a Teams training, for example, we can embed the video in here. I did it here let me show you what I did for this company. We embedded the videos from a training right into their landing page so that their staff could find it. Right there, see? This is a YouTube channel. This is our YouTube channel. We just host the video on our channel, and basically they can watch the video right from the page, the landing page. We can have a staff director. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do. So it's just, I just wanted to kind of give you a lot of stuff.
I'm trying to figure out how to, I'm a little overwhelmed, but we're way behind I can see we don't even have human resources across the top there as a tab, and in human resources, I'd have, employee matters, personnel files, work comp.
We do have human resources.
Oh, there it is. All right.
Yeah, and there are files in there.
But I have to literally go through each and every one of these and see how it's organized.
It's organized by department. Like literally, this is how each thing is organized. All we're missing now is the agreements one that you mentioned. So the agreements one will add another tab over here. It'll be agreements. We'll put a little logo on it, just make it look nice, and then they'll have the document library associated with it. So each one of these up here have a document library associated with it, and it has its own security, so it's secure. So people that are over here in marketing don't have access to accounting. They could try, they can click on it and it'll give them, say, no, do you want to ask for permission? And all the permission requests come to us. And then when they come to us, we basically will contact, the owner of that particular department. So in accounting's case, we would contact Sean, operations, we would contact Tara and so forth. And
so under product development, for instance, are the ILs listed for each product?
It's something we can do. Again, this is very basic. We've put some sites that people told us that they needed access to. And then here's the document library for product development.
See, I need to see, those aren't the same. That's if Holly wasn't in and Pauline is absolutely clueless about this and you needed to get the ingredient list for a given product, how would you get it?
Currently, I don't know. I would get it from Holly, so I'm not sure where it is out.
Holly was trained on this. Kai, you weren't with the organization. Jason, when we did some trainings, you weren't able to attend. I do have the recordings. I could, bring those back, and the recordings are basically us training the staff, our developer that developed the site, myself, and the staff. We did, I think, 2 trainings on this prior to launch and post launch. So,
well, all of the naming of the folders needs to be intuitive too. So just the example that I just gave, same thing under regulatory, this Borrelius thing. Once we get done with all of these registrations, they need to be listed, Kai, under product development in a way that if Holly wasn't around, you could respond to MMCL's request and get it executed.
Yeah. Well, here's a 2020. Holly has been using this. She's the one that created this 2021 regulatory folder right here. So the naming convention, that's up to you guys. We don't really control that. However you as a business want to set this up, that's up to you, but it's flexible enough to do that. But this is something that Holly did on her own regarding here.
No, we just need to all understand if it's not intuitive, then it doesn't help the rest of the organization. It may help, the individual who's creating these folders.
Right. And this is something we fall into an arena where for some of our law firms, they have to have that structure and how to create a case and a matter, how to label it folder structure wise, so that it's intuitive, like you say. So that same type of methodology would have to be applied here. It's just coming up with the structure. And we could rename folders and stuff like that, and help people out doing that. But creating the actual structure and saying, this is how I want it done, that's up to, the management and saying, and we'll make it happen for you. It's just
does the administrator for this department have the ability to change the name of the folder easy enough, or does that have to go?
Yes. No. People that have access have edit access, so they could right-click here and they could do a rename.
Okay.
It just has to be done, in a very systematic way. We just took basically whatever was there and moved it in, and then, people started using it. But yeah, definitely, if you want to come up with a structure and say this is how we want to name things, we definitely can make that happen, and the individuals can as well. So this is kind of the overall kind of location where the hub where you want everything to happen. When it comes to collaboration and chatting and all this stuff, you want to look at Teams because it basically is an extension of what we just looked at. So again, this is our team site. This is all chats that I'm having with people. We actually have, our marketing Teams channel where we put in different ideas and different information regarding things that we're working on. Our meetings are actually meetings that we have. Since I'm always on the move, we have a lot of meetings that we actually record, like we're recording this one. And Microsoft has its own recording software, which is really cool because you can actually record a video and it'll transcribe the video, and you'll have actually a text document, well, text transcription of the video built into it. And you can have meetings and then basically record those meetings. So if you're having conversations with a vendor and you do it through Teams, you can record it and you basically have the recording and it can be transcribed. So it's another way of kind of having that additional proof of what was said and what was done. And we're doing that now with all of our meetings, is we record them so that we have them, and then people don't have to really take a lot of notes. They can go back and reference the meeting. But Teams is very powerful. It's integrated. Again, it's part of your Office suite. You can add files, so you can add your entire file directory. So if you had a team for warehouse or teams for operations, right within Teams, you could access all your files. So that makes it just a very powerful tool. Right now, we haven't put anything in here, but we could sync our entire marketing library into this folder here if I wanted to, and have access to all the files that are on our SharePoint site right within Teams. So then you start working in one single area. You can make, video calls with people directly. You can call people internally, without picking up the phone. You can just literally from their account, click on dial. I'll just show you really quick. I'm going to bug one of our technicians. So right from here, I could just literally do a call. So yeah, we do a lot of things within Teams itself, make calls, video calls with each other, chatting. Those are just some of the basic features. We can get into a little bit more. We can get into a little bit more detailed on how we can do this through some Teams training. But again, the platform is there. We can start using it now, and it'll really help out as far as getting away just from using Slack, which is not secure. This is very secure. All this information is stored within Microsoft, so you can actually go back to it and restore it. If somebody's decided, I don't want them to know this conversation, we can go back and restore that.
I see. Kai, you getting excited?
Sure.
Come on.
Yeah, that's just, and again, all this stuff is there. All this stuff is on your computer right now. It's just a matter of learning how to use it and just implement it and start using it. And we can help you with the training.
All right, I need to do that. I want to get through the rest of the items on that email.
Sure.
Clearly this needs to be done. I need to do it. Kai needs to do it. Tara, Sharon, and Holly, Marissa, we all need to be on the system and probably using the team rather than Slack, and then
and we
do need to do.
Yeah, the other piece as far as Microsoft is concerned, I'm pulling up the screen right now. These are the servers that you currently have in the office. The one piece that I want to do is switch you guys over, just like I did with the clinic, is change all the Active Directory structure over to Microsoft. Microsoft it's called Azure Active Directory. So it's basically the same Active Directory security structure that you have on these internal servers, just a lot more powerful. And what that will do basically will allow us to basically eliminate these two servers, which are what's called domain controllers, which once we move all the devices off of the local Active Directory, which is what these servers are designed to do, which provides your login, your security, those type of things, device management, and we move it to what's called Azure, which I'll show you what it looks like here, because again, I know we want to, save some money.
I'm not seeing anything other than your initials on the screen at the moment.
Oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Let me share the screen again. I think it kicked me out. Let me bring it up. Okay, so here. Okay, so let me go back to where I was for a second. So you can see the screen now. So these two servers that you see right here, these are servers that are acting what's called domain controls. That's what they're called, DC. So domain controllers. They provide the login security for the devices. What we are proposing, what we've done with a lot of organizations, including the clinic, is we've moved them off of that security model and put them onto the security model of using this, what's called Azure Active Directory, which basically uses your Office 365 account as your login. So now you start getting into what's called a single sign-on, where your email account and that password gives you access to multiple platforms. It will give you access to your computer, which we would link to this. It would give you access to a SharePoint site. It would give you access to your email. It would give you access to your OneDrive. So that single email account starts opening doors for you, and you're just having one single connection. So this is one piece that we want to implement. I talked to Tara yesterday kind of briefly about it, and start moving the computers over to Azure Active Directory. So in the long run, once all the computers are in Azure, we can then eliminate these two servers. And then all you would have as far as servers in the office are the Sage server and then the Starship server. And we would reduce the footprint by eliminating these two, because then Azure would take over all those security features and those policy that we need to make sure the devices are maintained secure.
Well, you need to show that to me on a whiteboard, show me what you're talking about, but we don't have to get into
Yeah. No, I mean, well, to be honest with you, I mean, I could show you. It's really something that doesn't impact you that much, because it's just another way of logging into the computer and eliminating this. From your perspective as a business owner, we're reducing your cost by eliminating these servers and moving you to the Azure platform, just like we did in the clinic. We basically, everybody logs in now with their email account. They don't log into that server anymore.
Yeah.
So that's one piece. And then the other piece basically is, let's look at all the workstations. So right now, these are the workstations that we're supporting in the organization. And then including also, let me pull up the Mac devices. There's a few Mac devices. We have more Mac devices that are on here, a la Chad. I don't want to rub that sore, but we do have more MacBooks in the office than you're seeing here. We're not listing them here because nobody's really using them, so we don't want to charge you for them. If we put them on here, then we're supporting them. You'll get charged for them. So these are just the Macs that are in production right now, but there are additional Macs that are in the office, in the server room, that are not here because they're not being used at this point.
By the way, that one that you gave me that I ran the diagnostics on, it didn't hold a charge. It does need a new battery. I ordered a new battery, and I'm having this Mac Professional installed. He says it's actually a big deal to install a new battery.
Yeah, it is. And that's why our insurance kind of doesn't like to let us do it, because it's just a little bit tricky. And if it breaks something, then we're on the hook with Apple for that. So basically these are the computers that we're supporting along with the Windows machines. These are Macs. And then these are all the additional Windows machines that we're supporting at this point. And let me go back to the questions that you had.
Well, I need to forward me the most recent agreement with you.
Yes.
And then that'll be one that we'll put. I don't have to decide. We need to sort of maybe those agreements, like right now, and even an email, when you create email files, folders, they're just alphabetical, so that may be fine too. But I noticed they weren't alphabetical in the files that you were showing me on SharePoint.
Let me see here. We can make them alphabetical. It's very easy. Let me just get back to your SharePoint. There it is. Okay. And getting to share, just so you guys know, getting to SharePoint, you have to click on the logo here. This will take you back to the main landing page. Just by clicking on the Youngblood logo. So if we basically, let's go to sales and click here. You can just sort them by alphabetical order. So there you go. They're in alphabetical order. This has a period, that's why it's up top, and then numbers, and then the letters. So you can sort them by any way you want. And each one of these folders, there's a lot of stuff in here. This is included in the training that we did. And if you guys want, we can do another training with the staff. But there's a lot of stuff you can do in here. You can revert, like if you screwed up a document really bad, you can go back and revert to an older to a previous version. It's called version control. Like here's a file, for example. Click on a file, version history. You can pull up like previous versions of this document. So it's all built into this system that you can actually do all this. You can share it with internal people, external people. You can set it so that when you share it, it'll, like Mission Impossible, it'll blow up after a certain amount of time. You can't access it anymore. So you can designate that. For very sensitive information, Jason and Kai, we can also set up what's called sensitivity. And the reason I'm putting this on is because I'm going to set it in the recording so that you guys can review that at your leisure and maybe look at those points that I'm mentioning. Sensitivity labels also to send out documents that are sensitive in information that you want to make sure that proper security is placed on them so they can't be maybe copied or reproduced or downloaded. They just can be viewed. We can do that within SharePoint as well. So there's a lot of features in there from a security standpoint, especially if you're dealing with patent information and proprietary information that you don't want people to pass around. We can secure that information as well. You had another question here on, let me look at the email. Our company, we have not changed ownership of our company. We just basically are now looking at, as far as the company is concerned, from an IT Pros Management. IT Pros Management is going to be our brand name. IT Pros Holding is the California corporation that basically will be running IT Pros Management, because we're looking into moving into various vertical markets. And after talking to our CPA and talking to our general counsel, the idea was basically to having IT Pros Holding be the management parent agency, and then we are going to be building out different verticals to different industries other than IT Pros Management. We're actually developing right now IT Pros Healthcare, which is going to be targeted towards healthcare providers. And then the second half of this year, we're going to be focusing on IT Pros Legal, again, focusing on a specific vertical and speaking to those vertical markets with the specific issues that they have that we can help address. So it's not a change of ownership. Nothing's changing. It's just the IT Pros Holdings is the legal entity that will basically manage all these other brand names that we're looking to develop.
Okay. All right. We can wrap this up.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking, this is, again, this is high on my priority this year. I think what we'll do is maybe arrange a once a week training. But keep it to 30 minutes, because I have a hard time maintaining my focus after 30, but I want to make it weekly, and I want to be have a different section of training. And I'm going to need to assign everyone to sort of go through these folders, we can rearrange them. So there's a lot to be done here. I'm just trying to get with Kai and figure out what's the most efficient way to do it.
Well, we can on the training part, we can schedule it. Our trainings are scheduled in 1 hour blocks. They don't have to do the whole hour, but that's kind of how our schedules are set up to make sure we can accommodate for Q&A and questions, because sometimes conversations develop from these trainings. Especially from people that have been using these platforms for a little bit, like Tara, I know, has been using Sherry. They may have specific questions, a little bit more advanced questions. But I think we can definitely start off by having another SharePoint training just to kind of review everything. Jason, if you could attend, that would be great. If Pauline
I'll be in for sure.
Okay.
I even want to get one with some visuals, just so you're moving your cursor there pretty fast. Like if Pauline was on this, she wouldn't be able to follow you.
Right. No, and
So
again, we'll definitely come. I mean, this is just again a high level conversation, and that's the reason I'm recording it, because you can go back and review it and review a specific. And I'll make this recording available to you guys. But the training, yes, will be much slower pace, because we're just going to go through the basic functions, and then we can do a Teams one, and then build on top of those. And that's how we like to do them, is just start with the basic, build it until a certain point where the training doesn't become a training anymore. It becomes more of a Q&A session where you can ask. So
why don't you suggest, outline what that training ought to be, and I'll ensure that we're all on board, because we need to be better about this. It just allows, we need to take advantage of all these efficiencies here.
Right. So yeah, I definitely schedule a training. I can schedule also a conversation with potentially you, Kai, Shannon, and maybe Tara, with our developer, on some of the forms and workflows that we may want to look at. This guy Rafe, he's really good at these. He's built out all these forms for our other clients, and so we want to make sure that you guys take advantage of that as well. So we can schedule a time. I'll reach out to you guys and see which is a good time. I'll schedule just kind of a discovery call with him and myself, and we can kind of look at some of the workflows that you guys can think of that can be improved, and we can use these tools that are available to you guys to improve those efficiencies like you mentioned.
All right, thanks, Randy. Yeah, this was I put this off way too long, and that's I apologize.
No problem, sir. No, not a problem, sir. We're here for you. We wanted to give you a foundation, so now we're just going to build on that foundation. We built it so that you can grow into it.
Let's make it happen.
All right, sir. Thank you, Kai. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jason.
Thanks, Kai. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.